So this is not an abstract issue for any of us, but especially for, there's a huge Arab Muslim community maybe a couple miles from here. And, they have watched what's gone on in their home countries. They've seen anti-Islamic violence here, and they know that the NYPD had this program to watch where they eat and to put informants in their mosques. Have you done any reporting? Have you been able to get into that community and find out, how are people feeling now about the level of trust and distrust in their community?
There is a huge level of distrust. I mean, there was this ACLU case that was brought a couple years ago by Muslims who were spied on by the NYPD. And this is a guy who basically ran a charity for helping poor people in the Muslim community get meals. And so he raised money and he did this. And there was actually an NYPD informant who followed him from one charity, which he was at, and then they found out that there were police surveilling them. And so the charity basically had to go defunct, right? All the board members were like, we don't want a part of this. Like, who can blame somebody for being distrustful of the authorities in that case?
Do you think it's changed at all with de Blasio being mayor? He talked during the campaign, at least, and there's been some indication since taking office that he was going to alter.
They shut down the mapping unit.
Right.
But that
the demographic unit.
Yeah, the demographics unit. But that, really Orwellian name, right? But that doesn't mean that those activities are going to cease. It's just that there ceases being a dedicated unit for it. I mean, part of the problem is the NYPD is such an island unto itself that they, and like we've seen this with the sort of anti-police brutality issue that's come up with Ferguson and Eric Gardner and all these things. These guys are not afraid to assert their turf and to take on a mayor. So, who knows what's going on behind the scenes of this really insular organization that is the NYPD. Like, those activities of Muslim surveillance could very well still be going on. It's definitely a step forward that they shut down the dedicated unit for it. But we just don't know. I mean, you got to remember that it took the Associated Press years to get those documents, and it was only because of kind of a lucky leak that they got that those reporters were able to do that series that ended up winning the Pulitzer. And God, I mean, it's entirely possible that this stuff could keep going on, and we'll never learn about it.
I think anecdotally, people do believe it's still going on. Like, the average person thinks it's going on, and they assume they're being surveilled or under some sort of scrutiny. And even if theoretically it has stopped, which there's no indication it has really, it takes a long time for institutional distrust to be melded over. It takes generations. So
right.
I think the average person does believe that they're under surveillance, and there's negative effects of that.
Curious, do you feel like you're under surveillance?
I mean, I worked on the Snowden documents, and I guess I'm a Muslim journalist working on these stories, so I assume that I am surveilled, so I encrypt my emails and all these things. I'd be very surprised if I wasn't, but I guess it's possible I'm not. But,
are you wearing a disguise right now?
Yeah, underneath here is my real face, actually. Okay.